Learning to use a word processor can be difficult for novices who are not knowledgeable about computers. One reason is that word processors often operate in ways that mismatch how novices expect them to operate. Expectations about typewriting are a common source of mismatches. An operation as simple as carrier return typically works very differently on a word processor. We have studied novice expectations and the problems they can create in two ways. First, by asking novices to think aloud as they learn to use commercially available systems.
Then why did the line split when I hit carrier return? I only wanted to get the flashing thing to the next line. How am I going to fix this up?
Flashing thing is the cursor.
Yes.
You thought the return would just bring it to the beginning of the next line.
Yes.
A second method of understanding novice expectations was to ask them directly how they expected to do things on a text editor. How do you think you'd get rid of that word right there?
I would erase with the space bar, and there'd be a special button to bring the sentence together to delete. Some sort of delete, and then press a button to fill up the space. There may be just one or two buttons to press to do that.
Okay. Analysis of these problems and expectations points to design solutions. The purpose of this video demonstration is to describe an editor prototype designed to be more intuitive for novices. A more intuitive editor would present novices with fewer surprises. Hence, we have dubbed this prototype the No Surprise Editor. This demonstration will focus on the prototype's features and the rationale for them, not the empirical evaluation itself in any detail. This evaluation is an iterative process currently underway. The No Surprise Editor prototype was designed on the IBM PC with a conventional text display and function key interface, including conventional cursor step keys for pointing to objects in the screen. Within these constraints, we designed the No Surprise Editor prototype with the following principles in mind. First, we tried to minimize the difference between typewriting and text editing where that was sensible. For example, a user sees a clearly defined typing area with borders and explicit top, left, and right margins, an approximation to what you see is what you get within the limits of a text display. The typing page is also like a piece of paper in that users can type at will anywhere within the page border and margins. We can summarize these individual examples of simple actions by saying that novices tend to expect reflowing of text to be something they must explicitly manage or control. So the prototype editor was designed so that reflowing of lines and paragraphs indeed required explicit action of just this kind. Deleting is analyzed as two actions, erasing and closing up the gap. This is the delete key, which erases, and an adjust key to reflow the line or adjust the gap. Novices understand concrete objects like words, lines, and paragraphs, so we designed function keys that directly refer to these familiar objects. There are keys designated word, line, paragraph, page, and document. These object keys are used in combination with action keys like delete, insert, and adjust to specify the scope of these actions. For example, users can insert blank lines by pressing the line key followed by insert. The editor prototype uses menus, and we tried to simplify menu content and management. We presented menu task descriptions in what we believe is a simpler and more compact way. In contrast to systems with detailed menus and multiple menus that users must experience right from the beginning, we judged that users really only have three main goals: start a new typing job, get back an old typing job, and see a listing of old typing jobs. Accordingly, we presented these tasks in essentially these terms, minimizing the more typical jargon of document creation, retrieval, and directory listings. The prototype is currently being evaluated with respect to key behavioral goals. We want novices to be able to type, store, and print a simple memo in a half hour with no rote instruction, that is, get started quickly. This implies that they experience minimal problems or surprises, and that there is no rote instruction that they have to follow. Preliminary evaluation shows that novices can indeed complete this memo task in a half hour with no conventional instruction. The evaluation currently underway should indicate the usefulness of the specific design approaches used to design the editor prototype. The prototype as it stands is an example of how empirical observation of novice expectations and problems can be used to develop a coherent specification for a text editor.